Hello, everybody. So when I walked in here this afternoon and I walked through that incredible rainforest out there, the hot, humid air hit my skin and I felt at home. That's because I've spent the last 13 years of my life living in the rainforests of Costa Rica. But that is not where I'm from. I come from a city in the north of England. It's clad in concrete and people rush around wearing high-heeled shoes and they wear busy as a badge of honor. But that was not the life for me. When I was 19 years old, I decided that I wanted to change my life. So I left the fast lane and I moved to the slow lane. I swapped my stilettos for snake boots, and I made a decision that was going to change my life forever. Now, I can't tell this story without introducing you to Esmeralda. She is the sloth that changed my life. So me and Esmeralda spent a lot of time together in the jungle. She's the first sloth I met, the first sloth I studied, and I spent hours on end just staring up at her in the rainforest canopy. For the majority of the time, all I could see was a little ball of gray fur about 30 meters above my head. But I used to take my yoga mat into the jungle with me, and I'd lie down on the forest floor just so I could watch her without hurting my neck. I was doing this one day when she started to climb down the tree, and I thought, maybe she's coming down to poop. Now, I don't know if any of you know anything about sloths, but they have very strange pooping habits. They will only poop on the ground, and they only do it once a week. They can actually lose 30% of their body weight when they do this, by the way. So I thought she was coming down for that, but she stopped around head height, about 3 feet from my face, and she started to act very strangely. She was sort of bending over, and she looked like she was in pain, and I could see her trembling. And the biggest moment of disbelief, she gave birth to a baby right there in front of my face. And I was so shocked that she would trust me to be present in this really vulnerable and intimate moment in her life. My disbelief was actually very quickly replaced by panic because the baby slipped and fell. He literally bungee jumped off Mum, and the only thing that saved him was the umbilical cord. He was dangling by a thread, but Mum, cool, calm, and collected, hauled him back up onto her body. In the years since, we've now come to learn that actually the majority of baby sloth births do involve bungee jumping. It's completely normal. But yeah, I named him Bojangles. This is Bojangles. And he became the center of my world. So for the next 6 years, I spent every single day in the jungle with him and his mum. And I followed them around. Yeah, he means an awful lot to me. And I still, to this day, carry him with me on my body. I've got Esmeralda and Bojangles tattooed on my arm. And they remind me of where I came from. So Bojangles and Esmeralda, so they took me past the terrible reputation that sloths have been burdened with for the last 300 years, and that is that they are boring and that they are lazy. And we can thank this guy for that, because he was the first man to describe them in the scientific literature, and he described them as the lowest form of existence. I'm not kidding. And the name sloth actually originates from the deadly sin of being slothful. And if you translate it in every single language on the planet, it means lazy. Sloths were in a desperate need of a full image makeover. The truth is, they're not lazy, and they're definitely not boring. There's 2 different types of sloth. There's 6 species in total, but the 2 types are the 2-fingered sloth and the 3-fingered sloth. And these all live in the rainforest canopies of South and Central America, where they're able to spend up to 90% of their lives hanging completely upside down. They eat only leaves, and the sloth's metabolism is so slow, it can take them 30 days to digest 1 leaf. They are the slowest mammals on the planet, and their slowness is actually their secret weapon for survival. So they have managed to avoid detection by predators by moving slowly, and they are really masters of camouflage when it comes to blending in with the rainforest canopy. And they are really good at it. Okay, so it turns out sloths have spent 64 million years evolving to look exactly like coconuts termite nests, and dead leaves. After spending far too many days of my life staring at what I thought was a sloth, but it was actually a coconut, I decided I had to change my plan. So I created something that we still use today, and that is called the Sloth Backpack. So I turned to modern technology. These backpacks contain data loggers and tracking devices, and I would climb trees, catch sloths, which, by the way, is much harder than you think. They're surprisingly fast in a tree. And I would follow sloths around all day. And by doing this for many, many years, I got to know sloths as individuals as well as a species. And we discovered a lot of things that were completely new to science. So we discovered why sloths are slow. We discovered new genetic groups. We discovered how their strange feeding habits and their very survival is actually completely linked to the environmental conditions where they are living. So after gaining all of this knowledge, I started to work with rescue centers to help them. And together we developed the first protocols for releasing hand-reared, orphaned baby sloths back into the wild successfully. Now, public opinion of sloths is still very much split into two extremes. People either love sloths or they hate them, and both of these things are equally dangerous. So, in local communities, particularly where there's a low level of education, sloths are still viewed as vermin, and they're also referred to as the devil's animal because of their association with the deadly sin of being slothful. So, people, when they fear something, aren't going to protect it. They aren't generally very nice to it. And I have personally witnessed over the last 13 years some of the most horrifically cruel acts towards one of this planet's most peaceful and gentle animals. I have seen sloths being hit with sticks, beaten with machetes, set on fire. I even watched a group of children using a sloth as a football once. A memory that really sticks in my mind is a sloth who was trying to cross a road, and somebody intentionally ran over her. They got out their car, went back, set her on fire, and then ran over her again. The amazing thing is she survived. She's permanently blind, but she's still alive today. We did take her to a rescue center. So, on the other end of the scale, cute baby sloths. They are an internet sensation. You can probably see why. They've got millions of people who adore them all over the world. But that has also got a dark side, because the pet trade and the demand for sloth selfie photographs is booming. If you look on Instagram today and search for sloth, 70% of the photos you will see will show people holding sloths rather than them being in a tree. These hands-on encounters with wild animals have been completely normalized thanks to social media, and it's the wild sloths who are paying the price. So in Costa Rica and countries like Colombia, people go and take sloths out the wild, and they sell them. They hold them out at the side of the road, and they sell them to groups of paying tourists for photo opportunities. The saddest part about this is, the real tragedy, is that the sloths have got absolutely no way to defend themselves. Their facial markings make it look like they're constantly smiling. And the sloth's last line of defense when they think that they're really going to die is they put their arms up and they try and make themselves look bigger and scarier. But that people just think they want a hug, or they're doing yoga, all sorts of things. So this unrequited love is really, really dangerous for them. But by far the biggest threat to the sloths today is humans' rampant encroachment into the remaining rainforest areas. So sloths are being electrocuted. They're being attacked by dogs while they're on the ground, and they're being hit by cars as they try and cross the roads. This is happening on a massive scale, and I struggle to stand up here today and to convince you just what a massive problem that this is today. Over 3,000 sloths are electrocuted every single year in Costa Rica. Just in the region I live, there's 2 rescue centers, and each one receives 3 new sloths every single day. And that is the same throughout Costa Rica, where there's over 100 rescue centers. The numbers speak for themselves. There is a massive problem. But the real tragedy here, again, is that it's happening in silence. Nobody knows about this. Nobody's talking about it. Sloths are actually listed in Costa Rica as least concern. But I stand here and I will bet my life that that is inaccurate. They are not a least concern species, but there is not a single population count, and there is no population monitoring. So, when I saw all of this happening, I decided I'm going to try and do something about it. And in 2017, I founded the Sloth Conservation Foundation, which now has grown to a team of 17 people who are all fighting every day for the protection of sloths. We have lots of different projects, far too many for me to stand here and tell you about today, but some of them include insulating power lines with the government. We fund the castration and the rehoming of stray dogs to try and get them off the street. And we install wildlife bridges to help sloths get across roads and to get between patches of fragmented habitat. Now, I am so proud of everything that my team are doing. They're doing amazing work, but I also stand here in front of you and I'm afraid. I'm afraid that time's running out for the sloths. That's why I'm so grateful to be receiving the Future for Nature Award, because I'm going to use it to do something that I've been wanting to do for a very long time, but I never had the ability. And I'm going to share the plight of the sloths with the world. I'm going to prove what is happening to them and make sure they get the protection that they need. I'm going to train a dog, a very special dog, to detect the poop of sloths. You might think I'm crazy, but animal poop can tell us an awful lot about the health of populations. We can actually use this dog to document for the first time exactly how many sloths are living in particular areas, how fast are populations decreasing, how effective are conservation strategies, and we can even get DNA evidence from it that will tell us about individual animals and their health and their stress levels. So it's really very important. The best bit of all this is that we can use all of that data that we're going to collect and we can reassess the true conservation status of the species based on real scientific data. And that will allow us to give them the legal protection and get the conservation funding that they so desperately need. Sloths are not slothful, but they're slow. And there's a really big difference. To me, sloths symbolize the slow movement that is transforming our quickly paced and high-stress society that we live in. We're always being pressured to do more, be more, have more. But what if we slow down? What if we listen to the slow movement, slow food, slow fashion? What if we're more mindful of the consequences of our greed and our exploitation, and we do something to stop it? Slowing encroachment, slowing our rampant use of the world's natural resources. There's so much we can learn from sloths. But in the meantime, we have to protect them, we have to understand them, and we have to do everything in our power to help them thrive in the rapidly changing world. Just to end, I do want to say thank you, obviously, to the Future for Nature Award for making all of this happen, because it means the world to me, and also to my team in Costa Rica, because this award is for them, and we're going to make it count. Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, I'd like now to welcome our three winners back onto the stage and to invite Mr. Franz Zimmermann to join us to give out the awards. Could you hold that for me? Could I please have Gabriel Massocato? Take your reward. Take your reward. Here you go. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And our next winner, Tiasha Adia.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And finally, Rebecca Cliffe.
That was brilliant.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Beryl. Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Tillemans. Thank you. Well done, Beryl.